There we go. Let's try that again, shall we? One more into the breach, dear friends. Power cords. They're your friend, especially when you haven't plugged in overnight. And they come apart. Those PCs, man. They ain't like the Macs. You plug in a Mac, it's all one cord. You get the PC, you get two cords. What the hell, man? What kind of nonsense is that? I had a dream that we beat the 49ers 28-27 on a TD pass as time expired, and LaFleur gives a heated response to the sideline reporter on how Rodgers is the GOAT. Yes, it was beautiful. Joseph, that is an involved, excellent dream, and I'm happy you had it. Extra cheese strikes back. Exactly. Emperor returns. Nagler returns like the Emperor in Rise of Skywalker. I like it. I thought I'd actually have to talk to my kids. I wouldn't want that. I'm here to make sure you avoid all that, especially on Halloween. 80-20 Packer fans in LA this weekend. Yeah, I think that sounds about right. Maybe even close to 85-90. I almost feel sorry for the Chargers. I mean, I don't really, but it is going to be ridiculously filled with Packers fans. It is going to be a Packers home game on the road. It's crazy. Will we see Ryan Grant? I doubt it, especially if Davante's back. But he has been there as a, in case of emergency, break glass type when they were dealing with injuries to Geronimo and MVS. And if one of those guys suffered a setback in practice or something happened leading up to the game, they would probably activate him. But as long as those guys are able to go, he'll probably remain inactive. And I wouldn't be surprised if Davante gets the go-ahead and is cleared and does end up playing if they actually let Ryan Grant go. I'm going to the 49ers versus Packers game. Will be my first Packers game. Wow, man, enjoy that. Spanos is a moron. Well, he's a rich moron. But yes, he's a moron. Ty Summers should get some snaps. Yeah, I mean, he could miss tackles just as well as everybody else, right? I mean, I don't know. Yeah, sure. Throw him out there. I thought he's been doing a good job on special teams. I will say that. And he was flying all over the map this summer. Unfortunately, half the time he was making tackles and half the time he was missing tackles. But like I said, given what we saw on Sunday night, he'd fit right in. Campbell and Sternberger status, Matt, they're practicing. They have been. It's all a question of if they get activated. What's interesting is that we're coming up on the deadline. If they don't activate them, I think it's this weekend. Then they have to put them back on IR. Ooh, let's see. I wonder if another week helps Savage and Burks. I hope so. I would really hope so with Savage. You definitely saw some rust there Sunday night. I don't think there's any question. Freaking ticks are crazy money. I know. We were discussing that on Packer Transplants last night, which you should all check out if you haven't. Why? Okay, sorry guys. People texting me while I'm on the air, but they're texting me important stuff, so I gotta look at this. Hold on a second. Savage didn't look the same. No, I thought he looked a little hesitant. He did actually have a couple plays where he looked like his old self as far as breaking on the sideline from center field, making big time kind of stopping what was looking like a decent gain. But, oh no, what happened? Now what? I got power, now I got internet. What is going on here, people? The Packers signed Gordon? No, I doubt it. Nags, a real sports journalist. Skip is a hack. I'm not a journalist. Let's get that out of the way right now. I'm just a guy with a laptop. Do you see Lazard getting equal or possibly more snaps than Gmo MVS when Tay returns? I mean, I think it's going to be hard to keep him off the field. Not so much because of his production, just because I think he is a perfect complement. And you look at MVS, and they haven't really forced the issue with him. And Gmo seems to be up and down as far as his production goes. I think it's going to be an interesting mix. But if I had to guess, and it's only a guess, I think his snap count stays about the same, if a little less. Is Raven Green out for the season? Possibly. He is on IR, but they have one more designated to return slot available. Well, the first one they used on Jay Sternberger. They could use one more. Nobody really knows how injured these guys are. So, he could be gone for the rest of the season, or they could designate him to return in a couple weeks. We'll just have to wait and see. Let me rephrase. Have you seen any clips of talking heads going on and on about Aaron and Matt's relationship? I'm so sick of that narrative. Why must they keep pushing it? Because it's easy, and because Rodgers always sells and gets people to click stuff. It's that simple. Hey, if you don't want that, watch Packer Transplants. Corey and I did a whole segment on the backup tackle. Come on, you want that hotness, that non-Aaron Rodgers content? Cheesehead TV is here for you. Would be cool to get EQ back, don't you think? It would be. Unfortunately, he's not eligible to be brought back because he was placed on injured reserve the day before the cut to 53. He is not able to be brought back. To be eligible for the return, you have to be on the initial 53-man roster, and he was not. Nagler Banky last night on Packer Transplants. Yeah, that's pretty much Banky every day, all the time. Come on, Corey, give it to them. You know, they want to hear it. Oh, Banky refusing to perform. He's sitting right over there, by the way. Am I a big-time Halloween guy? No, I was when I had little kids. I was growing up, and then when I had little kids. Now my kids are bigger. I'm going to leave here pretty soon after I get done with radio and go trick-or-treating with my youngest because she's really into it. But myself, not a big dress-up and get kind of crazy kind of Halloween kind of guy anymore. Just not my bag, baby. Let's debunk this. He lives in New York and Green Bay. Are you talking about me or Corey? Corey owns a home in Green Bay and a place here in New York City. I live in New York and reverse commute to all the home games. There's your answer. Will I poach any of the kids' candy? They always give me their Reese's peanut butter cups because they don't like them. I love Reese's peanut butter cups. Nagler is a Jedi. I don't know about all that. I'm more like one of those drunks at the Mos Eisley Cantina in the corner. One of those aliens. And, was really ugly and had a really bad mask that George Lucas wanted to redo. That's me. Disappointed the ghost of Sherrod's leg at Arrowhead wasn't enough to be brought up in the backup tackle talk. Man, trying to forget that. That was the game that blew up 15. They made him, 15-1. That was the one. Trying to forget that game, man. Here's a fun story, and this is true. The Packers inadvertently published a undefeated season, perfect season T-shirt on their pro shop the week leading up to that game, which I caught, and I pointed it out to them, and they begged me not to publish it on Cheesehead TV, and I acquiesced, and I'll never do that again. Nags, do you think we'll see a team with 13 wins have to play a wild card in the NFC? It's possible the way the NFC is going, right? It's very top heavy. A lot of wins there up at the top. Jones is going to go off when Adams comes back. I'm anxious to see how they utilize all their offensive play makers when Adams does come back and they start rolling coverage that way. And think of everything not only Aaron Jones can do, but everybody else on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, it's me like kid in the candy store time for Matt LaFleur. Who's scarier, a Mad Mike Pettin or Aaron Jones split out wide? Oh, Mad Mike Pettin. No doubt about it. Do I ever block people on Twitter? All the time, pal. Name that movie. How important is it for you that A-Rod wins MVP? I could care less he wins MVP. I don't care at all. He's won 2 of them. Who cares? Man, just win Super Bowls. That's all I care about. Is this G-Mo's last year? It's a possibility. I think somewhat it'll depend on maybe what happens in the offseason as far as the draft and free agency, but most likely, yes. MVP for Rodgers this season? It's in the mix. He's in the mix. I doubt he wins it again, but you never know. If he keeps putting up numbers and killing it on offense, we'll see. Nags, was John Lynch overrated? Whew, that's a good question, Julian. A bit. I get why he's in the conversation for the Hall of Fame. I don't get why he's in the finalists for the Hall of Fame the last couple of years or this last year, especially when Leroy Butler hasn't been able to sniff being a finalist ever. It's ridiculous. John Lynch was a good safety, played on a great team, had great guys in front of him, which helped him as far as being a safety. Leroy Butler defined the new age safety position. Before Leroy came around, you didn't hear about guys rushing the passer and accumulating tons of sacks. You didn't hear about guys just obliterating tight ends in coverage. You didn't hear guys getting tons of picks down the field covering like a corner because Leroy did it all. He was a converted corner that became a safety who did everything. John Lynch made a lot of tackles, made a lot of big hits, made some plays, but he was no Leroy Butler. Not even close. Not even close. So that's what bugs me about the whole John Lynch discussion. It's clear that his time in the media has helped him when it comes to the voting process, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's something I've talked about a lot. Hans, thanks for the super chat. Is Jones a riddle easily solved by opposing defenses? You mean Aaron Jones? No. If he were, they would have done it sometime in the last 4 games. But they keep coming up with new and innovative ways to use him because you can't solve the riddle of Aaron Jones. Kevin, that's a really good question. Does Za'Darius go down with injuries every game to let the D get a breather and slow the momentum of the offense? Maybe. Do you envision Goody targeting an inside linebacker in the draft? Yes. Much more so than in free agency, I would think. Blake having an off year? That's a good question. I think the haters would tell you this is how he's always been. The fans, proponents of Blake, his backers would tell you that he's fighting through injury and or having to do a lot to compensate for not having a true running mate next to him. I think the truth, as usual, is someplace in the middle. He needs to play better than he's played the last few weeks. I will say that. But it is also true that he's gutting it out through an injury. Hello from the UK. Was Burks hurt last week or was it tactical? I think it was mostly tactical more than anything else. Is Clark hurting his money this year? I don't think so. He's playing through 2 pretty decent injuries and still playing at a decently high level. He's not the dominant force he was through much of last year, but that's because he's playing injured. The Packers know what they have there. They're going to pony up. It's just a question of when. Is Jay Sternberger practicing this week, and will he play in the game? He is practicing. I don't know if he'll play in the game. We have to wait to see if he gets activated to the 53-man roster, which will probably happen sometime this week, if it is going to happen. How do you think Gary played against the Chiefs? He played well. He's just got to play more. I understand they like Kyler Fackrell, and Fackrell has been playing well, but at some point, they got to get Gary on the field more and probably get the Smith brothers off the field a little bit, especially if they want them healthy and ready to go and with fresh legs down the stretch of this season, because those guys are playing an awful lot of snaps. And I do think Gary would play better if he was given more time and more opportunities. You do see him put pressure on the quarterback. He hasn't been there in the sack department, but that's because he hasn't had a ton of opportunities. So I think he's played well when given a chance. I just would like to see him given a whole lot more snaps. Have I ever dreamed about being a pro NFL player? When I was 12, yeah. I got 1 or 2 more in me here, guys, and I got to get on the radio. Tramon Williams is such an asset. I could not agree more. Not only for what he does on the field, but for what he does in meeting rooms, in the locker room. The guy is the pro's pro. He is a great example for a very young secondary. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Love Tramon on this team. Can teams test players on the side before activating them to see if they recovered from injuries? Yes, Amar, absolutely, 1,000,000%. And in fact, that's what they're doing with Jay Sternberger and Ibrahim Campbell this past couple weeks. Let's see. Lord of the Rings better than Star Wars. Hey, man, whatever floats your boat. I do think the original Lord of the Rings trilogy in and of itself is better than most everything Star Wars has done, other than the first 2 Star Wars films. But that said, I still like Star Wars more. But I did love the books growing up. All right. It is time for me to jump. Thank you so much, everybody. Hold on a second. There we go. Thanks so much, everyone. I'm sorry if I couldn't get to your question. Or 300 people here, and y'all are rock stars for joining us and making Cheesehead TV part of what you do when it comes to consuming your Packers content. If you like what we do, please consider hitting like, hitting subscribe on the button right there. Subscribe. It would really mean a lot. And if you really want to support not only what we do on the video side, but everything we do with the brand, whether it's the website, whether it's the podcasting, whether it's the video, whether it's anything and everything having to do with Cheesehead TV, please consider going to Patreon, becoming a Patreon member, patreon.com/CheeseheadTV. All we ask is $5 a month. And like I said, it supports everything we do. And that's a lot. Thanks a lot, everybody. I'll be on the radio soon. They're at 97.3 The Game in Milwaukee. Get your Heart Radio app ready for that. And I'll be back here with some more extra cheese tomorrow. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great night.